Hello everybody and welcome back to Micronova Metals. Another job has come in, and this time it's largely gold filled. Got all this 14K. There's that 12K. Oh, more Watchman's 1/20th, 10K gold filled. 1/20th 12K gold filled. Oh, let's see. Possibly gold flakes. The client's not sure. We're gonna find out. And 12K gold filled. And where is the carat scrap? There's some decent amount of carat scrap. Okay, there it is. Some carat scrap, which I'm going to have to inquart with some gold. And so I'm not going to go over everything that's here right now or the exact weights. We'll do that as we go along, and I'll be kind of showcasing my new furnace here for the first time in a while. I've needed it to incinerate, and maybe, just maybe, it'll melt some silver too. Okay, so a lot going on today. This is the gold filled project. I've put everything in my new furnace and incinerated it at 600 degrees. And I just did that till it stopped smoking, and that's supposed to get all the oils and the human scunge and dirt and whatever organics might be on there. So I'm about to put this into a 3-liter beaker and get it started. And as that's going, I still have Jose's project back there and here. And I'm setting up to do some hot water rinses, so there'll be a number of things going on. Right now it's just getting a little bit busy in my tiny lab here. Alright, let's get this gold filled into a home. Bunch of old eyeglass frames. Some 1/20th, 10, 12, and even 14K jewelry, and most of what you see in here right now, these are just pieces of watch bands minus other little lingering jewelry. It's quite a batch. Customer is hoping the yield is going to bring them very, very close to an ounce, and my numbers agree and his number agrees, so we'll see how quick we can get, or how close rather we can get to that. Alright, this is just being squirted down with distilled water. We'll make room for it up to the far left. Okay, lots of material. Distilled water, folks. Distilled and distilled only. That'll take us up about to the 1750 line or so. I don't care if a couple things are poking out. I'll give those a bend and get them submerged. I think we'll stop right there at 1500. This is where it'd be handy to have some 5-liter beakers at this point. Okay. Look at these hands. Yeah. So these are my protective gloves that are now allowing the acids to seep through, so I can't really wear those much anymore, if at all. But yeah, updated equipment. Something you need as a refiner. Alright, let's get some nitric into this thing. Alright, I think we'll get this kicking off with 100 milliliters of nitric. And what's going to happen is the nitric will start to get into all the edges and dings and scratches in the gold filled, start eating the base metals from the inside out, and leave us with a bunch of gold foils either floating or sinking or doing whatever gold foils like to do. And basically just leave a bunch of empty husks, and that's our prize. That's our reward. It's what we're looking for. So this red fuming is about 90 to 95% pure, and so I'm not even going to require heat. Get that stirred up there. A little bit of a watch glass all going on up there, and we are on quasi autopilot with the gold filled at this point, and time to start doing some hot water rinses for this silver chloride. Okay, so we are moving on to the inquarted portion of the gold filled, largely gold filled job. I've got the inquarted shot in there right now, and I'll give it a dose of nitric to get it going, and at that point it's just going to be a patience game. We're going to have to wait for the base metals to dissolve out of the inquarted silver. Okay, so we are continuing on with Matt's gold filled, and in this case Karat scrap, and he has sent me these vials. Said he got them from an estate sale. They are feather weight though. I mean, I'm very familiar with foils from things, but I think what we're going to do is I'm going to get a weight on this in grams, and I'm going to put them into some nitric, or maybe right into aqua regia, I think. 2.72, 5.5 grams. $8.17. Well, that one doesn't want to play. Okay, maybe it just wants to lay down then. So up to 11 grams, including the vials, whatever they weigh. $13.69. So I'm gonna get set up to put these into aqua regia, and Matt's other jobs are right here. The Karat scrap is right there. Added some fresh nitric to that, and it's doing nothing, so I have to assume that the inquartation and getting the base metals is done, and the gold filled is just, it's being a little bit of a nightmare, but we'll get into that later. Alright, let's kick this off with some concentrated hydrochloric acid. I'm just going to put in 100 mil. I got this in a little bit of reverse order. Let's see what's going on here. He's a little stubborn. Couple more vials. Does look pretty, I can tell you that. We're gonna have to find out if it's real or not. I'm gonna have to squirt these clean with a my little directional nozzles here. Okay. Got a little bit of that to clean up. Okay, so I'm going to pipe in some nitric. I'm not going to do the 3-to-1 ratio right now of hydrochloric to nitric. I'm just going to pipe it in. And this is about 3.5 mil. Okay. That right there. Let's get this over here. Get that set for a moment. Alright, let's get a little watch glass on this here. Alright, we need some containment for this, so the best thing I've got is that monker right there. Space is at a premium when you're handling more than one project at once. Let's give this a little bit of a swirl. There's no heat on this right now. Let's go in black. Alright, put that right there. Give it the watch glass, and when I have space for heat, I'll transfer it over. Alright, let's get these vials sprayed clean. Not being entirely cooperative, but we'll get a weight on those here very shortly as well. Oh, did you see that? Just the air moving out of this sent those flakes airborne. I'll zoom in soon, but actually these gold foils in here are starting to look very coppery. So if by any chance they are shredded leaf gold, it will still have a copper content to it. What the carat value is, I have no idea. My grandparents used to buy gold leaf, and I don't think I was any more than 12, 13 years old when they showed me, but I think they said it was 24K. Okay, last one. Okay, there's the issue of these little tiny ones here. But now we've got the vast majority of everything in there, and we're just going to see what it does. I think I'm about to move this off the heat because it's doing nothing. So I'll have to end up denoxing that. I'm going to put this up in its place. Okay, and before I do that, I wanted to show you this copper color. See that? It's not showing up very well for the camera here. There we go. Yeah, it looks like copper. At least with some copper content. Time will tell. Okay, the foils from the vials are in place on low heat. Let's see if that starts. It should at least do some fumage here pretty soon. I'll be back in a minute to check on. Okay, so I just stepped away for a few moments. I'm talking like 2 or 3 minutes really. Came back, and with the exception of a clump that was floating on top, it had gone into solution. So I just shut off the heat here because I have an errand to run. I gave it a quick swirl and everything just disappeared in front of my eyes. So I'll get back and tend to this and we'll see if that's actually gold in there. Okay, let's find out how much these weigh. 2.61 grams. I think they're fairly consistent. Okay, perfect. Okay, so these are the foils of unknown material at this point that were in the little vials, and once the water heated up, I had it made Alcarija, and just in a blink they went into solution. And I also noticed this still smells quite ripe with nitric, so I'm denoxing it with a little sulfamic acid right now, just little pinches at a time until I don't really get a reaction. I mean, it was only 3.5 milliliters of nitric, but it is red fuming nitric acid, so it's about double the strength. We're getting there. It's starting to accumulate on the bottom now, so let's see. We'll give it a little bit of a stir. There we go. It's fizzing. And it's accumulating on the bottom. So that's that. Give this a quick clean off. And then I'm going to set up for a little mini SMB drop. And we'll be right. Okay, so we're ready to do our little mini SMB drop. I did get the weight on the vials, as you probably see earlier in this video. They're 2.6 grams each. All said and done, the combined weights of the vials and the flakes that were in them, 13.69. So there's only 0.69 of the foils that were in here, or the flakes from those vials. And what I have here is a saturated SMB liquid or solution, and it's not going to take all of this or even half to drop it out. But if it's gold, we're going to see it soon. So let's just find out what we got here. It'll probably go white, clear, and then drop out on us. Just want to bring it over the 300 mil line, and let's see what happens. I don't see anything happening right now. It's a little on the reactive side. Yeah, I don't see anything right now. Okay, I'm not seeing anything happen in here. And with even as little as 0.69 grams of gold, of whatever carat value it would have been, we would have seen something. And I also just denoxed it some more with the this sulfamic acid you can get from the Home Depot. And as you can see, there's some sitting on the bottom right there, but I don't see any precip at all. And there's no reason why I wouldn't see it. So this could be a bust, but it's also so little that maybe it's just going to take some time. But it's just not what I'm used to. So it's starting to look like the vials filled with flakes are a bust. I mean, it was, I don't know what carat scrap that was, if it was anything even at all at this point, but a big SMB drop proportional to the amount that was in there. No results. Denoxed it just to make sure before and after, and I don't see anything going on. But this is the Karat scrap that was inquarted gold, now just gold. So I'm pouring this off because it's pretty ripe with nitric as far as I know. And I've got my silver in there. Some of it is converted to silver chloride just through the process. But we're going to get this into aqua regia. And I'll get that converted at some point. But if you look in there, nice brown color, nice brown colored nuggets that are characteristic of inquarted gold that now has the base metals taken out of it. So I'm going to get this clean up the glass real quick, and then get to the business of aqua regia. Alright, I'll finish the rest of that off camera. Well, I just caught myself almost being guilty of jumping the gun here and missing a step. So distilled water, we're going to boil it here up on some heat, get that to clean it up, and then we're going to do a couple other types of boils too, but we'll stick with this one for now. And we're going to start cleaning this so that no impurities carry over. Give this heat. We want it to boil, so give it a watch glass. All right, won't be able to see much from that perspective, but there you go. Okay, so a little side trip on here. I use my own silver to inquart Matthew's gold. So this is from the inquartation, and I'm going to drop some hydrochloric acid in there to precipitate out the silver, turn it from silver nitrate to silver chloride. That's what it looks like. Nice, sometimes beautiful, sometimes thick and chunky cloud. I'm going to give it a stir and see if we need to add any more. I'm just going to add this to a little bit of a silver chloride collection that I've had sitting around, some of it for months at a time. Look how quick it settles. All right, see if there's any more to convert. There is not. Okay, so I'll let that settle all night and tuck that away in yet another jar in the morning, because space is a premium in my humble little lab here. So and I'm going to go ahead and give that a spritz on top to break surface tension, and that will join. All those little flakes will join its buddies on the bottom. Okay, perfect. Moving on. Alright, so our distilled water boil is going along nicely. I'm going to give it no more than 5 more minutes. I'm going to decant that distilled water off and replace it with hydrochloric. And we will do at least 2 of those boils. Decant in between, and then maybe another hot water boil before we actually put it into aqua regia. And that's going to give us a really nice first refine, and then I will clean up the precipitant from that and kind of do the whole process again. Alright, so we're going to use this flat bottom round flask as our temporary gold waste container. Time to decant this off. See if I can manage it with these gloves. They're a little on the slick side, but this is what my other gloves have done to my hands here. It's the acids have broken down my gloves enough so that they transferred the dye to my hands. So moving on, this is where we are at. All those beautiful gold nuggets down there, and all I'm doing is decanting here. decanting and gonna spritz some of the waste off. Alright. That's the bulk of it there. Use a little rinse bottle. Okay. Let's get this out of the way. And it's a shuffle. It's such a shuffle, especially if you've got more than one project going on. And right now all I have going on is Mr. Matthews' project, but it's 3 different things. Okay. So here's our gold nuggets right there and the little particulates. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some hydrochloric acid in there real quick. And that's not going to be quite enough. Alright, we'll just bring this up a little bit higher. That'll do right there. Get it back on the heat. Get that to boiling. We'll do at least 2 of these. High heat. Watch plate. And then we hurry up and wait. Okay, so we're not even up to boiling temperatures yet. You can see all the sponge in that yellow tint that the hydrochloric acid is taken out, even after it boiled pretty aggressively for 10 minutes in hot distilled water. And that's why we do it, because spending the time here before we actually get to the final refining steps is what's going to give us a really nice clean bar or button or whatever it is my client wants. Okay, so we got a pretty aggressive boil down there going on. It's been at least 10 minutes, so I'm going to decant it off into our temporary container and then give it a fresh bath before we move on to one more hot water boil, and then ultimately putting it into aqua regia tonight. And I think it'll go fairly quickly. I can't tell you how much I don't want to wear these gloves. It's awful. Okay, let's see. There's the gold. It's looking really, really nice. We've put the work in, haven't we? And that's how you get rewarded. The results. All right, let me grab my boiling distilled. Let's give this some shake. Nice and clean. Just cleaning off the dirty hydrochloric acid right now is what we're doing. Okay, looking good. Yeah, I think we'll do one more. For those of you out there who don't know, if you were to remove one of these gold pebbles here, you could smash it with between your fingers if you got any strength at all. It just would turn into granular mud. Okay. Wow, that's looking nice and clean. Okay. All right. Put this to the side. Play a refiner's Tetris here for a hot minute. Alright, so you can see down there some more hydrochloric acid. I'm gonna give it its second boil. That'll do. Right back in there. Containment, folks. This Corningware is strictly for containment in case the lab glass breaks. Yeah, so you don't lose your contents, or for a boil over, which, as much of this as I've done, I actually recently had a boil over, but it was in this big Corningware here. I caught every bit of it, thank goodness. But moving on, put the watch glass back on this. And let it do its boil. Okay, so second hydrochloric acid boil. Much less contamination in the water. So this has gone on for at least 10 minutes. I'm gonna take it off and rinse it out with distilled water. Okay, second hydrochloric acid boil is done. I'm going to take it off, like I said, and clean it up with some boiling distilled, or near boiling distilled rather. Alright. It's looking good. Looking real good. Hope that's showing up good for you guys. Very nice. We'll give this a couple nice rinses, and then we'll give it a hot water boil. And if I don't like the way the boil looks, the fluid, then I will put it back into HCl. Okay, so give it some volume with hot distilled. rid of this obstacle. And onto the hot plate this goes. That won't take long. It's already near boiling. So here's what we got. Let's see what 10 minutes of boiling does for it. We're going to try to catch this on camera. You'll hear a pop and then one of those might bounce. And that's because when you're working with gold and there's high heat underneath it, it collects and keeps the heat and releases it in vapors, and it will just dance around. Sometimes you got to hold the lid down so you don't lose it, and usually not in the inquartation stage, but later on. But there we go, just got hot enough so it starts to boil, so I'll leave it there for 10 minutes. Okay, so here we are about 10 minutes later, and there's barely a tint to that water, so I think we've done our job. So at this point it's going to be decanting off that hot boiling water and then rinsing it a couple times more, and then putting it into aqua regia. Okay, time to make some aqua regia. Oh, let's see, it's going to be a difficult reach here. Alright, that'll do. Aqua regia is a 3-to-1, 3 parts hydrochloric, 1 part nitric. So I'm just going to do a quick calculation and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got about 20 milliliters of this red fuming nitric acid. 95% concentration or so. And that should get the vast majority of this dissolved. And what doesn't get dissolved will get dissolved by me piping it in small doses at a time until it's all into solution. And then when it is in solution, we'll do an SMB drop and let it settle overnight. Okay, so I wanted to catch this real quick because this is going fast, really fast. Nice vigorous reaction going on there. And let's see, you guys can see more than I can from this angle. And I mean, it's going to take its own sweet time doing it, but at this point I can just casually keep an eye on it and start piping it in when this reaction is complete. But we will wait until this is complete. Okay, after about 25 minutes, maybe half an hour, looks like we are dissolved. I see a few specks down there, and what it did is it reminded me that I need to put a little splash of sulfuric acid in here to precipitate out any lead, so I'm going to get to the business of doing that. Okay, when it seems a little Captain Obvious to be doing this right now, but we're going to do a stannous chloride test. Oof, didn't mean to put that much on there. But anyway, nice, rich, dark black stain. So I will get set up to drop this with SMB, and then we'll test it again. Okay, well, it is getting late, so we're going to do a little speed dating of this thing real quick. Take it off the heat, add some ice to it, which will help precipitate out any silver chloride if it's in there. And cool it down so we can filter it. I'm ready. I'm ready to be ready anyway. I am almost all ready to set up. I've got everything washed with hot distilled water, and we'll filter it till it's completely clear, and then we'll give it the SMB. Okay, first filtering is done. That doesn't look too bad. Not good enough for one filtering, but while I was off camera, I cleaned the inside of this with hot distilled water. So let's go pour that back in. Again, distilled water. And I think I'm going to give this a nice distilled water rinse as well, as long as I feel like got all this out of here. Maybe not. Still a yellow tinge when I do that. Okay, picking it back up. I want to show you, hope that comes across on camera. That's all the chlorides and potentially lead precipitants that have come out in that first filtering. All right, second filtering. Okay, so the second filtering has made it very, very nice and clear. And I'll show you in a second. Corroded up filter. Alright. Just wash this one clean with hot distilled water. And this is a beautiful, nice, clear liquid. The one fault it has right now, though, it's a little hot with nitric, so I'm going to put it back up on the hot plate, get it warm enough to denox it with some sulfamic acid, because we'll take care of this problem now, not with a load of SMB. I hate that stuff. I shouldn't, that's a strong word. That stuff is really hard on my lungs, so I don't use it unless I have to. Still got some colored liquid coming through. Here we go. Get it all. Unanimous. Okay. Let's get this up onto the hot plate. Denox it, and then it will be time for that SMB drop. That stuff looks beautiful, doesn't it? Nice and clear. Nice and clear. All right. Okay, away we go. Okay, so we are warmed up, and it's time to denox this bad boy. Let's see. Give this to safety here. I always get a little nervous handling that. I'm looking for about well, nearly half an ounce out of this. So denoxing again, sulfamic acid. Just do that till it really doesn't produce much, if any, of a reaction. I did put, I think, 20 milliliters of red fuming nitric acid in this thing, so just be patient with it. Give it a little bit of a stir. I think we're getting there. A little bit more. Okay, that's it. That's simple. I don't know if you have to do it while it's warm, but I always do it while it's warm. All right, and then on to our SMB drop. Our stump out from Lowe's sodium metabisulfite. Our scoop. It's being a little reactive. This will also denox. Still be a little on the heavy side. There we go. There goes our gold.
I had to put my respirator on because this stuff is just terrible. It'll send me right into an asthma attack. Looks like we got gold floating on the top. Let me put one more scoop in. We'll give it a Stannis test. All right, Stannis tests. Alright, let's see if we can catch this here. Well, looks like it's dropped out of solution. Alright, I like it. Because the other one looked very different than that, didn't it? Still have it. This is the result of our first Stannis test. So that is it, and we're gonna call it a night. It's well past 11 o'clock, and I'm ready to shut this thing down. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that. It's literally a pile right in the middle. Actually clearing up pretty good. I wanted to dilute this because if it's too heavy on acid, it can go back into solution. There we go. See, you can see it right down there. And there's more to drop out, I'm sure. It's granular and suspended in the solution in some places. So we're just going to leave it for now, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. Okay, still got the respirator on. Put this on a boil, and it's looking good. It's looking really good. Got the granules, got some powder right there. So the next thing for this is to decant it and actually give it some hydrochloric hot water boils, and then some hydrochloric acid boils, rinse and repeat till it's nice, and then we just put it back in the aqua and do it again.
Okay, so first recovery is complete. Starting the refining. I got my concentrated hydrochloric acid. I'm going to give it a nice little boil in here. When it does start to boil, it doesn't need any more than 10 minutes, but it's going to take a while for this thing to fire up. So alright, I'll get that going, and when it comes time to rinse the HCl out of it, I'll restart the video. Okay, just a quick recap. Here's our gold. Been doing hot water rinses. It's been recovered, which means I took all the base metals out of it and got it to this point with cleanups with HCl and hot water rinses, actually boiling in HCl. And in order to make sure that I preserve this and don't lose anything while I'm working on the gold filled, I'm going to go ahead and melt this into a button. Just finish this rinse and decant, and I will be back with the final product. No, I'm sorry, not the final product. It will be the once recovered, once refined product. Okay, let's see if we can get this into a melt dish. And we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a button. Just a little more to drain off there. There we go. A precarious little thing here. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to get this out and then a little bit of a pain here. There we go. I'm gonna have to pipe it out. There we go. Okay, that's that. I'm going to pipe it out and take it over to the melt dish. Alright, there we go. Freshly glazed melt dish. Our nice once refined gold sitting on top, and off to the melt dish we go. Okay, well, here comes a moment of truth. I can get this thing open. So in grams, we're going to check our accuracy. Should weigh 50 exactly. It does. I've got this button here. Tiny bit of borax from the dish on it. I give it a little sprinkle. I think we're quite high purity. I mean, I treated this thing, well, like gold. got the little heat sink there. But here we are. What do we got? He was hoping for just over half an ounce with the Karat strap alone, and he got it. He got it. I'm so excited. Okay, so 15.72, and I'm going to break the good news to my client. And this is going to conclude this video because I have a ton more to do on this same project. All right, folks. Thank you for hanging out with Micronova Metals.